Hello everyone, welcome back to the video of p5 coding. So in this video, we're going to talk about key interactions in p5.js. So key interaction means when I press a key, a specific thing should happen. That could be moving around a specific shape, printing some text, executing some conditions, and lot more. So p5 has got a lot of functions which can help to trigger when you press the particular key. It has also some pre-written commands which can help to identify the key that you press. So we will do that in the p5.js web editor and see what we can do out of that. So without any delay, let's get started. Well, so this is a p5 boilerplate code which draws a 400 by 400 canvas of a background of 220. So let's talk about the function. So p5 has got a function called the function key pressed. So this function key pressed is going to trigger when I press any particular key. To test this, let's just say print key pressed. Okay, there we go. So when I press any particular key like W, E, I've pressed a key. So you can see that a key pressed is getting console.log. Now you can see that the numbers as usual are showing the numbers are increasing one by one. So whenever I'm pressing my keys, my console.log key press is working. So this is the thing. Whenever I press a key, the key press function is going to get triggered. Now, let's say if I press a key, I want to change the background color. Let's say. So my background will be controlled by a value variable, and the value will be initially at 0. Whenever my key is pressed, I want to set my value to 220. This is the most possible, the simplest example of key press function. So you can see the background is initially black. Whenever I press any key, it becomes actually gray. Now I could do one more thing, that if let's say if value is equals 20, it equals 0, then do this, else just set back value to 0. But that means I can repeatedly switch between black and white. You can see that whenever I am pressing my key, black, again pressing my key, gray. So you could actually see how the key press function works. So this is about the key press function. Now p5 has got a specific predefined variable for accessing the key that we press, and that is called key. So this, as you can see, is a predefined variable. So if I say whenever I press any key, print that key, if I am doing this. Now the key is a built-in predefined variable which accesses my key. So if I just press my key, I am pressing my F key, so you will get control. You will get F here. If I am pressing my control key, you will get control. If I press my shift key, you will get shift. Tab key, you will get tab. You will for 1, 2, 3, 4. All of that is working. And if I press enter, you are going to get enter. You will get if I am saying, let's say, the backspace key. So all, if I press the insert key, so all the keys, if I press the up and down arrow keys, so you can see that all the keys are getting accessed with the help of this key variable. Now each key has got a key code. So this is another predefined variable. So each key has got its own key code. So if I press here, if I type I'm printing my up arrow key, I am getting 38. So that means the key code of my up arrow key is 38. For the left arrow key it is 37. For the down arrow key it is 40, and so on. So you can see that p5 has got functions for triggering when the key is pressed. It has got variables which can access the key. So we could do interesting things with this. The first example, what I would like to do with the value is, so let's say if key is equals W, if my key pressed is W, then change the value to 255. So okay, I should change it to string. This should be string actually. Yeah. So now if I press W, I'm going to get 255. But if I press any other key, this is not going to work. So I could do it for all the other possibilities as well. So if I copy this, whoops, just a second. Oh, why is it not being copied? Okay, control and copy. So if I were to copy this 4 times and write else if here and else if here, okay, like this. So if key pressed is W, is not W, it is A, change the value to, let's say, 100. If it is S, change the value to 50, and if it is the, let's say, D, change the value to 150. And otherwise, if it is anything else, change the value back to 0. Okay, so when I press W, it is white. When I press A, it is a little grayer. When I press D, it is a little brighter. When I press S, it is completely near to black. When I press any other key like I get back my 0. You could see that this is a simple way to access any particular key. Now, in this context, I would like to add one more thing, which involves moving shapes all throughout the canvas. So let's try that. Okay, so I will be needing variables like x and y. I will have to draw an ellipse. I'm drawing an ellipse for now, and I have to set these x and y to some default value. So x is equals width divided by 2, and y is equals height divided by 2. Then I will have to draw an ellipse at xy of a diameter, let's say 50 and 50. So I'm supposed to get okay, and I should set it to no stroke and fill black, just 0. So I will get an ellipse, and I should decrease the diameter a little. I should set it to 25. You will see that I have got this little ellipse on the screen. Now, how could I move this ellipse? So in the key press function, so I am trying to move this particular shape, that is the ellipse, with my up and down arrow key. So in the key press function, I could write if, just pay attention to this is very important. So if I write key is equals my up arrow, if my key is equals up arrow, then increase the x by 5. Now whenever I press my up arrow key, okay, it's not working. Oops, just a second. Okay, it should work. Okay, it should be like this. Why is it not working? Just a second. Okay, my bad. It is actually not up arrow, it is arrow up. So I wrote it in a wrong way. If you write key code, just for the sake of explanation, if you write key code actually, if you write the key code, then you can write up arrow and then it is going to work fine. But if you are using key, then you need to write that exact string which is actually identified by the key variable. You need to write arrow up if you are using the key variable. So another thing, so my y should actually decrease by -5, not the x. So whenever I press my key, you will find that this is actually moving in the upward direction. Now, you might say that this is not sort of continuous. I'm pressing the key, only then it is moving a little bit towards that direction. So we will do that as we'll do that continuous movement as well. So first of all, let's whoops, why is not in copied? Okay, so let's do it 4 times for all the other possibilities. So I need to change it to else if it is the arrow down, if it is arrow left, it is arrow right. All right, and then in a down this should be increased by 5. If it is arrow left, x should get decreased by 5, and in the other case x should get increased by 5. And then you can see that I am getting complete control of this little shape. So when I'm pressing my up arrow key, it is moving up, left it is moving left, down it is moving down, and right it is moving right. So you can see that I am getting complete control. Now, if you want that continuous movement, you will need variables that add a velocity, because it is just increasing the x to 5. This key press function gets executes and stops being executed. It is just moving 5 steps ahead. But if you want that continuous velocity type of movement, you will have to have variables like x direction, that is x velocity rather, and let y velocity. So you will have to have velocities. They initially will be adjusted to 0 and 0, and then you will have to change this to have, so each time in function draw, my x and y should increase by x direction and that y direction. All right. Wow. Okay, this is velocity. This is velocity. I'm getting confused. This is velocity and this is y velocity. Right. So here then we will change the velocities, and not by 5. I will decrease the amount to just 1. So this is going to be plus plus y. It is velocity. Yes, it is velocity. So now velocities are changing when I'm pressing my keys. Okay. 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 This is just, whoops, velocity x. Yes, and this is plus plus, and this is minus minus. Now if I were to run this, so you will see that it is now moving continuously in that direction. When I'm pressing the up arrow key, it is moving upwards, down arrow key, it is going downward. But now when I'm pressing all my keys together, you can see that it is moving in a very stupid sort of fashion. I mean, it is moving all around haphazardly. It is not got any specific velocity, like it is moving horizontally and vertically. So this is kind of interesting. But if you have played games like a snake's game, where the snake moves with our keys, so it moves either in the top or in the bottom. So it is not this sort of a movement, but it is just rolling around the entire canvas. So we could, because here if I were to, because all these x velocities and y velocities are getting added up and subtracted, so it is becoming 1, 2 and all kinds of numbers. So I want that y velocity should decrease by this, and all the other velocity, that is the x velocity, should be set back to 0. So in this case, when I'm pressing my up arrow key, so you will see, and yeah, one more thing is, so the velocities are building over time. You can see that. So I need to set that to 1. It is not minus minus. I want to set my velocity to 1. So no matter in whichever speed, and this is minus 1. So no matter in whichever direction in how many times I press my key, the velocity is going to remain the same like this. So if I press it 1,000 of more times, the velocity will remain the same. If I were to change it to the minus equals, then it is going to build over time, because each time you can see the velocity is building over time. So these, you can see that this makes a lot of sense, a lot of difference. So let's copy this and add it 4 more times, here and here and here. Then let's change this to plus. Let's change this to 0, and this to minus 1, this to 0 again, and this to 1. Now if I were to run this, and let me just change it to a little more, 5 is better because it is very slow in the other way. So yeah, now you'll see that it is moving in all these 4 directions. So let me run this slowly. So if I press my up arrow key, it is moving in the upward direction. If I press my down arrow key, it is eventually going to come down. If I press my down arrow key, it is moving in a downward direction. Right, right, left, left, down, down and up, up. So you will see that it is moving in that specific direction. The velocities are not being added over time. So this is a better way if you want that snake game sort of an effect. Now, let's say you want to play any other kind of possibility in which when you just stop pressing the key, the ball or the ellipse is going to stop. But when you keep holding the key like this, when I'm holding the key, it should move. So simple way to do this will be to add another function called the key release function. So the key release function gets triggered when you release a key. So in this case, you could just set these velocities back to 0. Now you will run this. So you will see that when I'm pressing my key, when I'm holding my key like this, it is moving. When I'm releasing my key, it is stopping. So this adds to more interesting effects. It can allow you to move the shape all around the canvas very easily. Okay, this is done. So I would like to do one more thing, which is, let's say, draw trails. This is something which I've not covered before in any of my videos. So you could draw trails of these shapes which keep moving around. That could be done using something, another parameter called the alpha. So all of these fill. So till now we have talked about fill 0. Okay, so let's talk about this in a fresh manner. So in our color values which we put in these fill functions, stroke functions, and background functions, either we have got the brightness or we have got the RGB parameters. But there is one more extra parameter which is called the alpha. So the alpha is actually used to control the transparency of the shapes we are drawing on the screen. So if I write brightness and then I add an alpha, that is a transparency value, then my shape is going to become more transparent. So the alpha also ranges, let's say, the alpha also ranges from 0 to 255. 255 means full opacity, 0 transparency, and 0 means no opacity, completely transparent. So if I were to write fill 0 and then 0 again, I would get no shape because the alpha is 0, so the shape is fully transparent. If I were to write something like 20, we will see that the shape here, let's go. We will find that this shape is nearly transparent, is very, very diminished. We could do a similar thing. So we could say, we could have a variable called alpha, and alpha is repeated by alpha. So the alpha initially starts at 0, and if we increase this alpha slowly over time using the draw function, then we're going to see the shape slow. Okay, what's the problem again? My variables alpha. Okay, here's alpha, not alpha. Okay, very bad. Yeah. Okay, now I should work. So you will see that the shape slowly appears over time and regains full opacity. But run this, shape slowly is becoming more and more visible. So this is the alpha variable I was talking. So we could do the similar alpha thing for our background as well. So if I have a background which has 0 alpha, the background is fully transparent. So wait. So the background is fully transparent. I'm not able to see the background at all. When I write 10, so you will find that the background slowly zooms over time. So initially the background, if I were to change the frame rate, so this is a variable which controls the frame rate again. If I change the frame rate to 1, so you will find that the background slowly is gaining its transparency over time and is becoming more and more visible. So you will see the background is actually becoming more and more visible. So this feature, yes, so adding alpha to the background would allow us to draw trails. If you see, you can find amazing trails of this ball which is moving through the canvas, because the background, we know that the background draws again and again and overlaps the previous position of our little ellipse, but in this case the background is more and more transparent, so it is taking a bit of time to overlap the previous position. If I set the background to 0, I will see that the shape, I'm seeing the complete path over which the shape has moved, because the background's trail is completely 0, that is, the background becomes completely non-visible, so I can never actually see my background getting drawn on the canvas. So this can give you more possibilities, like drawing in specific maze-like structure on your screen. This can prove very helpful in many sorts of possibilities like I'm doing here. But if I have a considerable amount of transparency like 50, then I can draw these amazing trails which look very good in itself. So I think I've given you a proper idea about the key functions and this little alpha variable. So I think you will try something interesting with this. You could try to make different games like the snake game. You could also try to make a player controller kind of a system. So I think that's it for this video. Thanks for watching everyone, and goodbye.